Hi, I'm the Mythology Guy, and today I want to talk about Marvel's Avengers, the video game. Now you're probably wondering, wait a minute, you're the Mythology Guy. Why are you talking about a superhero-based game? What does that have to do with myths? Well, there's a very simple answer to that. Thor's in the game. Thor is from Norse mythology. Therefore, this counts as a mythology-based game. Oh, what? That reason's not good enough for you? Well, too bad. This is my channel. I'll make whatever videos I want. Deal with it. Now, it's certainly no secret that the Avengers have become very popular over the last, 10 to 12 years? Ever since the first movie came out, and so on. I myself have really wanted an Avengers video game ever since that first movie. I mean, the weird thing about this is they were making movies based on every Marvel movie up until that point. There was an Iron Man video game, there was a Captain America video game, there was a Hulk video game, there was a Thor video game. Heck, there was an Iron Man 2 video game, but there was never an Avengers video game. At least, not a full, big release of one. Like, apps don't really count.
What you say?
So, basically, when they first announced this game, I was very hyped. When the trailer first dropped, I was very hyped. And when the game came out, I was very hyped to play it, I played it, and I had mixed feelings about it. Yeah, a lot of people had things to say about this game, and I also have things to say about this game. It's amazing, it's impressive, it's boring, it's underwhelming, it's fun, it's epic, it's glitchy, it's repetitive, it's so consumer-friendly, they're adding in so much free stuff, it's so egregious, they're charging ridiculous prices for practically nothing. Yeah, there's a lot to say here. The overall mood surrounding this game seems to be negative. A lot of people don't like this game, a lot of people say it wasn't worth what they spent on it, a lot of people are really disappointed, a lot of people are really shocked by how bad they found it, and that's kind of part of the reason I wanted to get my thoughts out about it. Because I actually liked the game. I actually still like it. I still play it. Now, some of you who have played it are probably thinking, what? You gotta be crazy. Look, I understand why you guys don't like it, don't get me wrong, but I don't see enough positivity about this game, I think, and that kind of bums me out, because I honestly think there's a lot to like in this game. So, that's what I want to talk about today. I'm going to go over the reasons I like this game, the reasons I don't like this game, and what I think about the game moving forward. Now, in my personal opinion, the three most important things about a game are good gameplay, good story, and a good look. So, let's start with the gameplay. How is the gameplay in this game? Arguably the most important part of any game at all. How do they do it here? Yeah, it's pretty great. It's honestly a ton of fun. I had so much fun playing this, and that's why I still play it to this day. I mean, I'm honestly kind of impressed by the gameplay in this game, especially because it's not just one character, it's 6 different characters, and they all feel unique, and they all have in-depth movesets, and they all have upgrade trees. It's really impressive. Some people have said they get bored with the gameplay, and I'm very surprised to hear that. My personal guess is one of the reasons people get bored with this game is because they just have one character that they like to play as and they eventually get bored. I'm kind of a different story. You see, one thing I'm really impressed by in this game is not a single one of these characters had a moveset that I hated. I didn't not enjoy any of them. I actually wanted to play as all 6, and I did play as all 6. I learned all of their movesets, and anytime one was starting to feel a little tired and dull, I would just switch to another one, and it felt amazing, because they were so different from each other, and I was excited to use a totally different moveset. And on top of that, just with the movesets they have, they're pretty freaking epic. I mean, Miss Marvel can grow to gigantic proportions. That's fun in any game. And honestly, I can't think of a lot of games that let you do that. Hulk is obviously the most powerful, but he's the most restrictive because, his ranged attack isn't super fast. He can't, like zip line around or fly around or stretch or any of that, but he's a freaking powerhouse. In fact, one thing I really like about Hulk is, see, every character in this game has a ranged attack, but obviously Hulk can't shoot anything, so what does Hulk do for a ranged attack? Well, he literally rips chunks out of the ground and throws them at people. That's brilliant. That's creative. That's exactly what Hulk should do. One of my favorite things to do is playing as Iron Man and switching over to his rocket launchers and blasting everyone away. They are so satisfying to use. And yeah, everybody's got amazing mechanics. For example, Iron Man can switch between repulsor rays, laser beams, and rockets, and he can switch from land combat to air combat. Thor can also switch from land combat to air combat, and he can throw his hammer and recall it in a similar way to God of War. Or you could just choose not to recall it and leave enemies pinned under it. It's so funny to do that, to just watch them squirm there. It brings out your inner sadist. Also, Black Widow, who you wouldn't think is super, like, powerful or anything like that, because she doesn't have superpowers, well, she can actually do some pretty impressive stuff. She has 3 different sets of guns, she can zip line between enemies and terrain, and she can even turn invisible. Now that's cool. Miss Marvel is the lesser-known character, and as I mentioned before, she's a ton of fun. She has all these elastic, stretchy abilities, which, honestly, can't think of a single game that has let me do that other than maybe the Fantastic Four games, but even those didn't let me do it to this kind of cool extent. And then there's Captain America. Now, in some ways he might feel restrictive, because he doesn't have guns or grenades or laser beams or earth-shattering punches, but he has such fun-to-use combos, and for me it's very satisfying to hit people with the shield, throw the shield at people, create little sonic booms with the shield. That was a great idea. And plus, he can double jump, that's always fun. So honestly, I found all 6 characters to be a ton of fun to play as, and that's one of the things I like most about the game. So, in my opinion, the gameplay is a hit. They nailed it. However, one thing a lot of people point out is this. Even though in my opinion the gameplay is really fun, there's not a ton to do with it once you've beaten the main story mode. The endgame content is pretty darn repetitive, unfortunately. A lot of the missions feel exactly the same. And, like, there are only 4 different kinds of terrain locations. There's the desert, there's the city, there's the forest, and there's the snow. Oh, plus there's the hazard room, harm room, training room, whatever you want to call it, which I honestly enjoy playing in, but this game really needed more content. This is a live service, which means people need to be able to enjoy the endgame content, and a lot of people have found it to be very repetitive. I still drop into the game once in a while because I enjoy the character movesets so much, but I'd be lying if I said I found the endgame missions to be particularly engaging most of the time. But let's talk about what is probably the second most important part of a game like this, the story. How is the story in this game? In my opinion, it's good. It's not particularly great or fantastic, it does have some great moments in my opinion, but overall I'd say the story mode is good. It's mostly about what you'd expect for a story like this, and I'll give you a quick rundown. It starts off where the Avengers are of course everybody's heroes, and they're having an event. However, at the event there's an attack, something goes wrong, everyone blames the Avengers for it because of course they do, and it leads to the Avengers disbanding. Oh, they also disband because apparently in the attack, one of them didn't make it out and tragically died. Even though he's on the poster for the game, I'm not entirely sure he's gone, guys. You gave the character a moveset. Did you give him a moveset just to have the one little... Okay, spoilers. Sorry, spoilers. Yeah, there's no way this character's coming back, guys. Hide him. Hide the character. Character, get off screen. Get out. Get out. Whoever you may be. So, yeah, despite that, the story is pretty cool, though. We follow Kamala Khan, or Miss Marvel. Now, some people didn't think this was a good idea. They didn't think Kamala Khan should be the main character. They were like, who is this? We don't even know this character. She's not even in any of the movies. Why put her in here? Me personally, though, I think that made it all the more better to put her in, because it's drawing more attention to a lesser known character, and building more hype for when she eventually does get her own movie. I think the main important thing here is that it's a good character. If you put in a lesser known character who's lesser known because they're dull or hated, then this would be a bad decision. But Miss Marvel, I think, is a very great character. I've always liked her, and I really like her in this game. I mean, she's a Marvel fangirl who became one of the superheroes. That is every comic book nerd's dream. How can you not love this? And to top it all off, she's very well written, very well voice acted, very well developed. She's very entertaining. I love it when she talks. I love it when she has fun. I love seeing her happy. I love seeing her meet her heroes. There are some very wholesome moments with her. There's one really great moment, in my opinion, in particular. At the beginning of the game, when she's just a kid, she meets Thor at the event, and they have a pretty nice talk together. Then, years later, when she becomes a hero and meets him again, he recognizes her. I love that. That's so wholesome. I honestly wish they had done more with that, but for what we got, I was very happy to see that. There is one thing that I think could have been done much better in Kamala Khan's story. You see, we kind of see how she got her powers. It's very quick and kind of glossed over, but we see it, so cool. But what's annoying is the game cuts to 5 years later after the event, and we don't see her discover her powers. We don't see how she reacted. We don't see how her family reacted, which sucks because her father is a very nice character. I really like him, and I would have liked to see more of him in the game. But we don't see how she became who she was. At the 5 years later mark, she is kind of working with this like little resistance group to try to take down AIM, who took over since the Avengers disbanded, and honestly, I would have liked to see how that happened. I would have liked to see how she joined the group. I really wanted to see how she found her powers, but she just went from being a fangirl who's caught in a tragic incident to suddenly, oh, now she's a spy with superpowers. I really wish we had seen how that happened, and it really irked me that we didn't get to see that. I also really like how she finds all the Avengers and has to re-recruit them and give them back the spirit that they had before. It's also really interesting to see how the Avengers lived when they retired from being superheroes. She finds Hulk broken and wild, which makes perfect sense, and I thought that was pretty darn cool. She finds Iron Man living alone, and then there's a pretty fun part of the game where you have to assemble a suit out of things around Iron Man's house, which I personally thought was a lot of fun. When you reconnect with Thor, Thor is doing volunteer work. That's just great. And he shows up and joins the fight in his volunteer worker outfit. How great is that? Black Widow, I'm not going to spoil what she's doing, but she's very much doing what you'd think Black Widow would be doing in this scenario. So yeah, I liked the story. I liked the progression. The main villain, as you probably already know, is MODOK. And there's something I really like about this, and something that really annoyed me about this. Now, he doesn't just go from being a regular guy to being MODOK in one go. We actually see his progression. We see him fall to darkness. We see him start to change both mentally and physically, and we watch his head slowly grow throughout the story. That's great. That's a great way to build up your villain and have us connect with him more. However, here's something that really annoyed me as a MODOK fan. He never fully becomes MODOK. Let me explain what I mean by that. He never fully becomes just the giant head with tiny little legs and arms with the squeaky evil voice. Never happens. He gets almost to that point, but never quite fully there, and it was really frustrating, especially because they showed him like that in one of the trailers. Why did they take that out? I feel like maybe they're saving that for one of the future free chapters they're planning to add into the game. Cool, but it should have just been in the base game, in my opinion. You need to complete the story that you're selling us for $60 before you ask us to stick around for more stories. That's the problem. You can't leave people thinking they didn't get a complete product. And MODOK's journey was incomplete, in my opinion. Also, one huge drawback to the story and the game itself, there are only 3 supervillains. Period. And if you've seen the trailers, you already know who they are. It's Taskmaster, Abomination, and MODOK. Now, Taskmaster and Abomination are refightable in villain sector sections of the game. By the way, these villain sectors have the audacity to count a giant plane as a villain and a giant construction robot as a villain. No guys, those aren't what we expect when we go to super villain sectors. They're pretty decent boss fights, but come on, give us a few more villains. When you've got more hero characters than villain characters in a video game, that's kind of an issue. I mean, take a look at something like Lego Marvel. That's got a good amount of villains, and I don't need that many, but I do need at least a handful, guys. Come on. Now, the story as a whole is about 10 to 12 hours long, I believe, and that's a good length for most video games. It's not that you don't get your money's worth here, technically, but here's the problem. We've got 6 main characters in this game, and honestly, it doesn't feel like they had enough time to all be fleshed out well. Don't get me wrong, Miss Marvel is fleshed out well, and she should be. She is the main character. But I would have really liked some more time with the other characters. In fact, the last character you unlock in this game, he only gets, I believe, about 2 or 3 missions before the story is over, and that's really unfortunate. I think he could have used more screen time. I think they all could have used more screen time. I think, honestly, that this game should have really focused on each individual one. Now, there are some strings of side missions that have to do with some of the individual characters, but I don't really think they're enough. I don't think they really go in depth, and for the most part, they just kind of feel like the other side missions, aside from each of their final parts, which feel pretty good. So yeah, I think in order for all of these characters to really shine and really get the development they deserve, this game needed to be maybe twice as long, or at least 20 hours. And I know that can be asking a lot for some video games, but come on, guys, it's an Avengers video game. If you're going to make a game starring all of these characters and make them all playable, you are also going to need to take ample time to flesh them out. I know it's asking for quite a bit, but this is a very ambitious project, so you need to be ambitious when you put it together. So, we've got, in my opinion, great gameplay, a good story. How is the look of the game? It's alright. Again, yeah, just another thing that I think is kind of okay. It's good for what it is, honestly. I wasn't expecting much better than this, and I think it's perfectly serviceable for how the game is, aside from some of the horrific glitches at launch. Oh boy, these, some of these were embarrassing, to say the least. Fortunately, a lot of them have been fixed, but yeah, let's talk about the glitches for a minute. There were times when I couldn't get missions to start. There were times when my teammates would just give up in the middle of a mission. Like, I would be fighting against a whole horde of guys, and Hulk, our most powerful member, would just go stand in the corner and do nothing the whole time. That sucks. I need his help, guys. Heck, at one point I was doing a harm room challenge, and one of the enemies glitched out of the map. His indication marker was up at the top left corner of the screen and stayed at the top left corner of the screen. No matter how much I turned the freaking camera, I had to restart the mission. There was nothing I could do. And, one of the most annoying glitches, in my opinion, I saved up a lot of in-game currency in order to purchase a cosmetic, the Joe Fix-It cosmetic. At least one of them, there's a few of them. Joe Fix-It is a cosmetic for Hulk where he's wearing a suit. That's awesome. So I saved up for it, it took a long time, I purchased it, and then it glitched out. It disappeared from my inventory and went right back to the vendor, and I did not get my currency back. This made me really mad, and I vowed to stop purchasing things from the cosmetic for a couple of months until I was sure this problem had ample time to be fixed. By the way, I'd like to go over the cosmetics in this game really quick. Now, there are 2 different ways to get cosmetics. There is an in-game cosmetic vendor, which sells a pretty decent amount of cosmetics. However, one of the big problems with these is that most of them are just the same cosmetic, but with slightly different colors. Well, whatever. They're earnable in-game, so I guess we'll give them a pass. There are a few really cool ones, but I wouldn't say a ton. In fact, some of my favorites to use were the ones you naturally get in the final mission of the story. Those ones are really cool for most of the characters. Now, there is one other way to get cosmetics, and that's in the marketplace. And the marketplace is where the coolest cosmetics are. There's Gladiator Hulk, there's some really awesome looking Black Widow Secret Agent skins, there's some pretty cool Iron Man suits, but honestly a lot of... How creative can you be with Iron Man suits? They're all gonna look pretty similar to each other. But there's also some really cool looking Thor outfits, and some pretty fun looking Miss Marvel outfits. However, the marketplace is not the same as the cosmetic vendor. The cosmetic vendor requires a type of currency that is earnable in-game slowly but surely. The marketplace requires a completely different kind of currency. This type of currency is purchased with real money. Now, you're probably wondering, well, is it also earnable in-game? Yes and no. There is one way to earn this currency in-game, and that's if you max out each character's hero card by completing daily challenges. However, each character's hero card can only be maxed out one time, which means there is a finite amount of this currency that you can get in-game, and it's only enough to get maybe 4 or 5 things in the marketplace. That's unfortunate, which means if you want any more than that, you're gonna have to start spending real money. Now, it's not overly terrible considering this is just cosmetic stuff and does not directly affect gameplay. However, the prices on these things are freaking ridiculous. Oh, you want Miss Marvel to wear a hat? That'll be $14! Seriously, $14 to put on a hat! And that is a normal price for the costumes in this game. $5 for an emote, $6 for a takedown, and $14 for outfits. Yeah, that's gonna be a hard pass. I already spent $80 on this game. I am not giving you tens of dollars for outfits. You know, people got really mad at Crash Team Racing when they added in microtransactions, and rightfully so in my opinion, but say what you will about that game, I was eventually able to unlock every single item in the game without spending a single extra dollar through gameplay alone, and I think that really says a lot. Plus, it felt really good to do it. That's not an option in this game. Honestly, I really wouldn't mind these big prices if there was a way to earn this currency in-game consistently. Even if it took a really long time to do so, I still wouldn't mind, because at least it would give me something to work towards. It would give me something to keep playing for. And one thing this game really needs is for the players to keep playing, and that would happen more easily if you give them something to play for. This game is rapidly losing its player base, and that is a big problem. Now, hopefully some of the player base will come back, because thankfully they are adding in a lot of free stuff, and that is one good thing about live services. You do at least get some free content. Plus, the free content that they're adding in sounds really cool. Every single batch includes new missions and a brand new free playable character. We've already had Hawkeye confirmed, we've had Black Panther confirmed, and we've had Spider-Man confirmed, though only for PlayStation players, which kinda sucks. If I was making these decisions, I would have made Spider-Man available to everyone, and given him some PlayStation-exclusive skins based around the PlayStation-exclusive Spider-Man games. I think that's a much more fair way to do it. So, who is the first free DLC character they're adding in? Kate Bishop. What? Yeah, why her? Look, I don't have anything against Kate Bishop, but they've already confirmed Hawkeye is going to be added into the game too. How different can these two characters' movesets possibly be? And on top of that, Hawkeye is going to be added right after Kate Bishop. That doesn't sound like something to be overly excited about when you have two characters who are very likely going to have nearly the same kind of moveset, releasing one right after the other. In my opinion, They should have just released one of them as a free character and made the other one a skin for that character. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I might be insanely wrong. These two may have such insanely different movesets that I'll be totally understanding that they decided to make these two different characters. Well, we'll see. But honestly, I still think that Kate Bishop was a very unasked for character. I would have much preferred Scarlet Witch. But then again, maybe that's just hypocritical for me to say, since I did just earlier say I like how they shed new light on lesser-known characters. So, maybe I should just wait and see how it is. So, overall, what do I think of this game? Honestly, I think the game has its problems, but it's also a ton of fun, and still has potential. There's a lot of very clear effort in here, and that's something people don't tend to bring up. I know that there are things not to like about this game, but it's clear, from the movesets, to the dialogue, to just the way the characters feel, that the people who developed this game really did want to make something special. And on the bright side, they do seem to be listening to everyone's feedback. I know they didn't launch super great, but at least they're trying, and that's more than I can say for a lot of other companies. I do enjoy playing the game. I'm going to play every new character as they release. I think I'll keep playing this at least a year from now, especially with all the new drops that are going to keep happening. Though, sadly, I will probably never get all the marketplace items I want because, no, I'm not paying that amount for those things. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Is the game worth picking up? Well, the price has actually been cut in half recently. You can get it for $30 now, and honestly, I think the game is more than worth $30 if you want to check it out. But if you're still hesitant about picking it up, then maybe just wait a few months. Let the game get a few new characters, increase its value, and then maybe give it a try at that point. The game also comes with a free next-gen upgrade, and that's great. So, whenever you want to pick it up, if you are curious about picking it up, I would say this game is worth at least giving it a chance. I'm glad I gave it a chance. I enjoy it very much. So, yeah, love it or hate it, those are my views on the game. And please, let me know your views on the game in the comments, and let me know if there are any other games you would like me to check out.
Hey everyone, Zaggard here. I hope you enjoyed this review. Whatever opinions you have on this game, please leave a comment down below. The comments are also a great place to let us know about any other game reviews you would like to see. Please like and subscribe, it would really help us out a lot. Well, that's all the time I have, so I'll see you in the next one.